wall-to-wall housing, bumper-to-bumper traffic, skyrocketing prices, hurricanes and tornadoes, shoulder-to-shoulder people at any event, the worst drinking water in the country, yellow cars from pollen, bugs in and out of your home, termite paradise, sewer roaches in the drains, rising crime, and polluted Gulf waters from Mobile Bay trash flow. This is the true story about the coastal areas of Baldwin County. Shout out to the Moody Blues 5709 for painting that picture for us. I'm going to show you all what Baldwin County really looks like from city to city, where those complaints might have some truth and where they just don't hold water. We're diving into the towns, neighborhood, traffic, schools, lifestyle, and yes, even the bugs. So if you've been wondering what it's actually like to live on Alabama's Gulf Coast, stick around. I'm pulling up the map, I'm zooming in, and I'm giving y'all the real story. My name's Jessica. My husband Tony and I are realtors with eXp Realty, and we specialize in helping folks relocate to Lower Alabama. We ourselves moved down here 10 years ago. Tony worked downtown with the Army Corps of Engineers. We fell in love with the Gulf Coast life and Southern hospitality, and we knew this was our forever home. All right, before we start talking beachfront lots and palm trees swaying in the breeze, let's zoom out and get our bearings, because where you land in Lower Alabama really does change the entire vibe. So we're starting up north, right around where most people draw the line between what's considered coastal Alabama and what's not. So on the Mobile side, that usually starts in Satsuma. Now, if you've never heard of Satsuma, don't worry. Most people outside of Alabama have never heard of it, but ask any local and they'll tell you it's one of those quiet, tucked away towns just off of I-65 where people move to get away from the noise of Mobile without fully leaving the metro area. Satsuma's got that old school southern suburb feel. You'll find brick ranches from the 70s and 80s and a few newer neighborhoods tucked around the edges and big shady oaks lining the streets. It's calm, it's clean, and it's definitely on the more affordable side. When it comes to schools, because that's a big reason folks move here, Satsuma split off from the Mobile County school system a while back and now operates its own city schools. The district's small but consistently rated better than most in the area. So if you're relocating with kids and trying to stay in Mobile County while avoiding some of the lower rated school zones, Satsuma might be worth a look. Satsuma is a small tucked away town where you'll find a mix of modest brick homes and unexpected gems like Cypress Landing Townhomes, which is a resort-style gated townhome community with access to Mobile Bay. We're talking beautiful pools, great amenities, private boat docks and slips, even elevators. Not many people know spots like this exist, and that's exactly where we come in handy. Real estate prices in Satsuma hover in the mid to high 200,000 range, for established homes pushing into the 300s, still way under what you'd spend in Baldwin County for something similar. South of Satsuma, you'll get into areas like Saraland and Chickasaw. Each has their own vibe. Saraland in particular has seen a lot of new growth. A lot of people are saying that Saraland is the new it place. There's a Publix, a Crumble Cookies, which, let's be honest, that's a major milestone for any growing town. And there's a few national builders starting to pop up on the outskirts. It's becoming the go-to choice for a lot of people who work in Mobile, but they don't want to live in Mobile. Mobile itself is a different beast. It has its historic districts and the downtown area. It's busy, and it's also got some beautiful architecture, especially if you're into old homes with big porches, wrought iron railings, and century-old live oak trees. But like any city, it's got its pockets. Some areas feel totally untouched and charming, while others feel neglected or run down and haven't been maintained, unfortunately. Life in Mobile County is different and across the bay in Baldwin County. Homes are more expensive in Baldwin County. Flood zones tend to pop up more often near the bay and the rivers. The crime rates are noticeably different depending on what zip code you're in. And schools are consistently rated higher in Baldwin County. Those are just a handful of the commonly discussed differences, but truthfully, the two areas are like oil and water. That said, Mobile offers a ton of value for people who want city amenities, job access, and history without the price tag of coastal Baldwin County living. So whether you're looking for peace and quiet up in Satsuma, more space in new builds in Saraland, or charm and character in Midtown, the north end of coastal Alabama definitely deserves a spot on your radar. Now swing over to Baldwin County and you've got Bay Minette. This is the county seat, so it plays a big role even if it's not what most people picture when they hear coastal Alabama. This is where the courthouse, government offices, and a big coastal Alabama community college campus are. And homes tend to be a lot more affordable in Bay Minette compared to places farther south, but you're also a good 45 minutes to an hour from the beach, so it's a give and take. Think of Satsuma and Bay Minette as the two northern posts of lower Alabama. Go farther north than that and you're deep in pine country, no sand, no seagulls, no shrimp boils. Everything south of here starts blending from small town to beach town really quick. Now, from a layout standpoint, lower Alabama's geography can be a little weird. Mobile Bay cuts right through the middle, basically dividing the region in half. When people say the eastern shore, they're talking about the eastern shore of Mobile, not the eastern shore of Alabama. To the west, you've got Mobile County, places like Mobile, Theodore, and yes, Satsuma. To the east, you've got Baldwin County, home to towns like Spanish Fort, Daphne, Fairhope, Foley, Gulf Shores, and Orange Beach. And that bay matters. Unless you've got a boat or wings, you've only got two ways to cross. I-10 over the Bayway, which is quick when it's clear, but when it backs up, I hope you've got a coffee. You've also got the Causeway, which is slower, but honestly, it's prettier. It runs right along I-10. It's kind of like the backup route between Mobile and the Eastern Shore. Now, if you're down south in Mobile by Dauphin Island, you can jump on the ferry to get to Baldwin County. The Causeway runs low over the water past all the best restaurants like the Bluegill and Felix's Fish Camp restaurants. And if you're lucky, you'll spot a gator sunning itself on the side of the water. Personally, I take the Causeway 9 times out of 10 because I'm never in a big rush. For me, the Causeway is nostalgic. It kind of reminds me of when Tony and I first moved down here and I was learning all about the new roads. So for me, the charm has never worn off. Now, once you're east of the bay and firmly in Baldwin County, we usually break things up into 4 main zones. So North Baldwin, think Bay Minette, Stockton, Big Lots, country roads, deer in the backyard kind of living. Eastern Shore, this includes Spanish Fort, Daphne, Fairhope, Bayfront towns with top-rated schools, charming downtowns, and a more suburban feel. Fairhope in particular has that Hallmark movie energy going for it. And then we got Central Baldwin, which is Robertsdale, Summerdale, Loxley, all growing like crazy. You'll get great bang for your buck here, especially if you're cool being an hour from the beach. And then Coastal Baldwin, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Fort Morgan. This is where beach days are a lifestyle. Sunset watching is an evening ritual and life moves slow. Every day feels like a vacation here. And here's the kicker. All of this is within about an hour of each other. So when we say you've got options, we mean it. But how those areas all really feel, and that's where we come in. So let's keep going. Now that we've got our bearings, let's drop into what a lot of people consider the sweet spot of Baldwin County, which is the Eastern Shore. This consists of Spanish Fort, Daphne, and Fairhope, like I've already mentioned. These towns hug the eastern edge of Mobile Bay, and they've earned a reputation of being the go-to spots if you're looking for bay views, solid schools, and that easy balance between beach town and suburb. So let's kick things off in Spanish Fort. This one kind of sneaks up on people. It doesn't have a flashy walkable downtown area, but drive through and you'll see why so many families and retirees are setting up shop here. You'll see tall pine backdrops and lush forests. It's got that peaceful woodsy feel, but don't let that fool you. Spanish Fort is way more convenient than it gets credit for. You're not totally out in the middle of nowhere. You've got the Eastern Shore Center. This is where I go for shoes, clothing, birthday gifts. I mainly go to Belk's or Dillard's. There's Bath and Body Works, the Shoe Station. There's also Old Navy. Pretty much all of my shopping can be done right here. There's also the Publix, Best Buy. They've got a movie theater, a Goodwill, a bowling alley, even a Barnes and Noble. And that's just scratching the surface when it comes to the shopping here. Some people are really surprised when they hear all that shopping is in Spanish Fort because the population here is only around 13,000 people. But this is a very convenient location, so it serves Spanish Fort as well as all the surrounding towns. Now, one of my family's favorite parks of this town is Blakely State Park. Most people forget it's right here. The park is peaceful and it's very large. If you're into hiking or kayaking, it's one of the best spots around. When it's not super hot, me and Tony like to take the kids and go exploring here. They even rent out cabins, but book in advance because they can and do fill up, especially around New Year's Eve when it's nice and chilly out in the evenings. Now, here's the thing about Spanish Fort. It is growing fast, and you could feel it in the real estate market. 5 years ago, you could grab a new home in the mid 200,000 range. Now it's more like the high 300s to the low 400 for something modest in a newer neighborhood with amenities. And the already built homes that are move-in ready, those don't sit very long if they're priced competitively. New construction is everywhere, from neighborhoods like Stonebridge and Rain Plantation to smaller pocket communities off of Highway 31 and 225. I'll be honest, it can feel like every patch of land has survey flags or a builder sign. You've got everything from homes under $300,000 to larger homes with 3-car garages pushing $500,000 and up. They've even opened a brand new elementary school, Stonebridge, thanks to a $60 million school bond. That should tell you something about the direction that this area is heading. And the high school, Spanish Fort High, is consistently one of the top ranked public schools in Baldwin County. So if schools are important to you, Spanish Fort should definitely be on your radar. A lot of people move here just to be in that school district, and we've seen families specifically narrow their home search to stay in that school boundary. All right, now let's drop down into Daphne. Daphne's kind of like the middle child of the Eastern Shore. It's bigger than Spanish Fort, but not quite as boutique as Fairhope. It's also the most practical of the three. You've got a good mix of neighborhoods, access to a lot of shopping. There's a lot of healthcare options readily available. You've got both Sam's Club and Costco. That alone puts it on a lot of folks' short list. They call Daphne the Jubilee City, and that's not just a nickname. Every so often, there's this natural phenomenon called a Jubilee. Sea life like shrimp, crab, and fish float up to the shoreline of Mobile Bay, and they just scoop their buckets right in the water, and they come back with so much fish, and it's just an amazing phenomenon that's definitely worth checking out. Community-wise, Daphne's solid. Village Point Park stays packed on weekends. On the public schools, Daphne High, W.J. Carroll, Daphne East, they've all got strong reputations. You've also got Bayside Academy right on the water, which is a private K-12 school, and one of the best ranked schools in the state. Expensive, yes. Worth it, a lot of parents say so. Now, when it comes to real estate, you've got options. You'll find 90s ranch-style homes in older neighborhoods starting in the mid 200,000 range, all the way up to custom homes near the Bay in the $700,000 range and beyond. A lot of buyers love the Jubilee Farms community or Sahoy. Both are established. Some of it is tree-lined with larger lots. Jubilee has some amazing amenities. If you want newer construction, the Reserve is also a popular pick right now. And be ready for HOA fees. All of these communities have them. HOAs are common, and to be honest, they're the norm in Baldwin County. And this is a big one. Traffic in Daphne is a big topic of conversation. Highway 98 and County Road 64 like the Bermuda Triangle of daily commutes. They weren't built for the number of people living here now, and while there are plans in motion to widen and rework them, it's going to take some time. So if you're planning on buying here, do a dry run of your drive during rush hour. Seriously, it's worth checking it out beforehand. Okay, let's finish this leg of the trip with Fairhope. Fairhope is sort of the star of the show. This town gets written up in Southern living, and it's whispered about by out-of-state buyers like it's some hidden gem. And to be honest, it lives up to the hype. Downtown looks like a movie set. Oak trees, a Spanish moss, hanging flower baskets, art galleries, mom and pop shops. There's always something going on. Live music, art walks, holiday parades. The Mardi Gras parade here, think less Bourbon Street and more family block party. It is amazing. But that charm comes at a price. Literally, Fairhope is the most expensive of the three cities that I've mentioned so far in the Eastern Shore, especially near the Bay and downtown. Homes easily climb into the millions, and even something off Section Street or in the Fruit and Nut District can start in the 800,000 range. In neighborhoods like North Hills or Point Clear, you're often paying more for the land than the structure. And if you're dreaming about building, be prepared. Fairhope zoning and permitting process can stretch for months. The city has strict architectural guidelines and environmental standards, which is great for long-term value, but tough on your timeline. Still, a lot of buyers are willing to wait. It is worth it. The schools here are excellent. Fairhope High is a top performer, and if you're looking for private school options, there's St. Michael Catholic High School just outside of town. It's faith-based, small class sizes, and gets rave reviews from parents and former students. Now, like the rest of the Eastern Shore, traffic is becoming a regularly discussed issue. Highway 98 clogs up quick, especially on weekends or during events downtown. They're working on improvements, but in the meantime, patience is required. Now, before we head farther south, we've got to talk about the stuff nobody includes in those brochures. So let's start with water. There's been concern over drinking water in some parts of Baldwin County, especially in older homes or neighborhoods with aging pipes. And Mobile Bay, which borders all three of the towns I've mentioned, has a long history of runoff, stormwater overflow, and pollution. Water quality fluctuates, especially after heavy rain. So if you're planning to kayak fish or if you live near the bay, stay plugged into local reports. I like going to the Mobile Bay Keepers website because they post the water quality almost weekly, and it'll let you know the bacteria levels in the water so you know if it's safe or not. There's also bugs. We've already said it. This isn't just a rumor. And pollen will turn your car yellow. Roaches do show up if you're not careful. Termites are part of the package. Most new homes include termite bonds, but older ones may not. Get the inspections. Don't skip the pest inspection when you buy a home. And of course, let's not forget traffic and overdevelopment. Baldwin County grew by over 20% in the last decade. That's great for business, but tough on roads, schools, and public services. Subdivisions are going up like crazy. Some say the green space is shrinking fast. Also, storms happen. Yes, hurricanes are the real deal here. They are a risk, and even if you're inland, tornadoes and high winds are part of life here. Hurricane Sally in 2020 caused damage throughout the eastern shore. Spanish Fort, Daphne, and Fairhope all saw flooding, downed trees, and power outages that lasted for days, some weeks. We've been consistently having some stormy weather here. Our power went out last week. Lots of lightning, heavy winds, so it's just part of living here. Since Hurricane Sally, more homeowners have added generators, they've upgraded windows, and even moved towards gold fortified construction to help with insurance costs. When it comes to crime here, it's not out of control, but it's changing. Retail theft has become a little bit bigger of an issue in Daphne. There's so much shopping, and sadly, the two go hand in hand. As the population grows, there's more opportunities for people to do things, and that's just the nature of the beast. Fairhope's seeing a little uptake in petty crime as population grows as well. Before you buy, check your neighborhood crime stats or join a local Facebook group. They'll tell you more than any flyer will, that's for sure. So after all that, you might be wondering, why are people still moving here? Because if you come in prepared, if you understand the market, you know the trade-offs, and you pick your spot wisely, it's still hands down one of the best places to live on the Gulf Coast. Spanish Fort, Daphne, and Fairhope each offer something unique, but they all share that rare mix of charm, community, and coastline that's hard to beat. Okay, now let's head south and see how beach towns like Foley, Gulf Shores, and Orange Beach stack up. So when people talk about the coast, they're usually picturing Gulf Shores or Orange Beach. But before you dive in, let's stroll north to south and see what life is actually like across this stretch, from the quiet backroads of Magnolia Springs all the way down to the hustle of the Gulf. So these next four towns make up the southern stretch of Baldwin County. And while they're neighbors, each one offers a different flavor of life. Some feel frozen in time. Others are bursting at the seams with growth. So if you're planning to move here, it really does matter which one you land in. They're all different. All right, I'm going to start with Magnolia Springs. This place is a southern fairy tale tucked under a canopy of ancient live oak trees. Magnolia Springs is quiet and it's so charming. And it's one of the only places in America where mail is still delivered by boat along the river. I'm not kidding. It's just the way they've done it for generations and they haven't changed it. This is the kind of place where neighbors wave from the porch. The air smells like magnolia blooms in the spring and time truly slows down. Now it's small. Really small, no chain stores, no traffic lights, and you're not going to find a Target run happening within 5 minutes here. If you need groceries or restaurants or honestly anything beyond a cup of coffee and some peace and quiet, you're probably going to find yourself driving into Foley. And the people who live here like it that way. They chose to live here for those exact reasons. You'll find older homes on oversized lots, some dating back decades with big porches, wood siding, and plenty of personality. There are also a good bit of newer custom homes sprinkled in, usually tucked further back on large wooded acre lots. Prices range widely here, from $400,000 cottages with charm to $800,000 newer custom homes. If you can find one for sale, inventory is tight because people who live here, they don't move often. And there's no HOA life here, and there's no desire to have one. Most of the town is on septic and zoning is loose. It's the kind of place where you can have your chicken coop and your vegetable garden and your pole barn. And you can also see front yards that are equal parts grass and gravel, and nobody bats an eye. If you're looking for community over convenience, Magnolia Springs might be your place. But if you need a Starbucks drive-thru and same-day Amazon, keep heading south. And that brings us to Foley. Now, Foley's not just the next stop down, it's the heart of Baldwin County's boom. This is where tourism, suburban life, and commerce all collide. In fact, it's not just growing, it's exploding. You've got Owa, which is like a mini entertainment district with roller coaster rides, restaurants, shows, and an indoor water park. The Tanger Outlet Mall brings in shoppers from all over the region. And County Road 12, every time I drive down it, there's a new neighborhood going up. That wall-to-wall housing line people throw around online, Foley is where that sentiment is aimed. But the thing is, it's not all bad. The growth is real, but it's also what's making this area work for families. You can find a brand new gold fortified home in the low 300,000s, sometimes even under 300,000. Resale homes, especially those built in the last 5 to 10 years, typically sit between 280,000 and 360,000. You've got neighborhoods like Primland, Paxton Farms, and Hidden Lakes that are hot right now because they offer affordability. They also have builder warranties and easy access to just about everything. Foley has some newer schools, a hospital, restaurants, grocery stores, and you're still only about 20 to 35 minutes from the beach. But there are trade-offs. Highway 59 becomes a parking lot during tourist season. School zones are constantly shifting to keep up with the enrollment, and all those rooftops, they're changing the landscape. Runoff from new development has caused drainage problems in certain neighborhoods, especially in low-lying areas without proper grading. So if you're shopping here, you have to be smart. We'll check the flood zones and we'll read those plat maps so there's no surprises when you're trying to buy a home here. Now let's move south into Gulf Shores. This is where the beach dream starts to feel real. Gulf Shores is the postcard. White sand beaches, high-rise condos, live music, seafood festivals. You've got the Hangout, Shrimp Fest, public piers, and beach bars. But behind the vacation facade is a working town. Gulf Shores has its own city school district. It's separated from Baldwin County schools in 2019, and they've been investing big in education here. You'll find full-time families living here, not just snowbirds and not just spring breakers. Real estate in Gulf Shores has a wide spread. You can still find 2-bedroom condos under $350,000 if you're not beachfront. But if you are looking at beachfront condos, they're going to range from the high 400,000s to well over $1 million, depending on size, view, as well as the building condition. Homes east of Highway 59 in neighborhoods like Craft Farms or the Peninsula, those range anywhere from $400,000 to around $900,000, with golf course views and gated entrances. Insurance is a hurdle. You don't need to be on the sand to feel it. Wind and hail coverage for a modest home can easily run $3,000 or $4,000 a year. Flood insurance is another added layer, and while the city is working hard to improve infrastructure, storms like Hurricane Sally exposed the cracks. We still see boil water notices after heavy rains once in a while, and while progress is being made, it's not foolproof yet. Now last, but definitely not least, Orange Beach. If Gulf Shores is the beach town with buzz, Orange Beach is the quieter, higher-end neighbor. It's more residential, more spread out, and more oriented around the water than the sand. The Wharf is your hub for entertainment, concerts, shopping, restaurants, as well as that iconic Ferris wheel. But day-to-day life here revolves around boating. You'll see more trucks pulling trailers than compact cars, and the marinas are full year-round. Orange Beach has also gone all in on education. The new middle school and high school campuses are some of the most modern in the entire county, with rave reviews from parents and past students. It's a tight-knit community where families know each other and they show up in full force for all school events. Real estate here leans luxury. Waterfront homes easily $1.2 million to $3 million. Inland homes built within the last decade can run for around $500,000 to $700,000. And condos, especially the ones with marina slips or private beach access, can easily top $1 million with monthly HOA fees north of $1,000. There are deals to be had if you know where to look, but you're paying for a lifestyle, and you have to remember that. Insurance is steep, and you still have to deal with things like flooding and sewer systems that haven't always kept pace with growth. Just because it's high-end doesn't mean it's problem-free. So what's it like to actually live in the southern stretch? It's not perfect, let's be honest. You will track sand in your house. Always. Doesn't matter how many mats you put down, it wins. In summer, your AC runs like it's training for a marathon. And if your HVAC is older, plan for a new one. And yes, everything in that comment that I quoted earlier in this video, a lot of it rings true. The bugs are big. The pollen turns your white car yellow. Tours show up in packs. The tap water, not great. You learn to keep all the water handy like it's hurricane season year-round. Some neighborhoods lose power if someone sneezes too hard. There are days when a single red light in Foley will turn Highway 59 into a parking lot. There's always one Facebook post a week about the crazy tourist down in Gulf Shores, or an armadillo that got run over, or someone's uncle's riding a golf cart through the neighborhood at 2 a.m. It's that small town talk, and that just goes with the small town vibes here. But also, there's a vibe here that's hard to find anywhere else. You might grab lunch at a divey marina where your waitress calls you sweetheart and she remembers your drink order from last week. You'll recognize the guy fishing under the bridge because he was at your kid's baseball game. Those are the small town feels that you're going to get here. You learn which gas stations have the best boiled peanuts, and you find out really quick nobody calls roads by their actual names. It's always Turnpike Gelato Joe's or the Old Winn-Dixie. So yeah, you need to come in with your eyes open. Check the elevation, double check the drainage, ask about the HOA before you fall in love with the porch swing. Don't buy just for the beachy vibe if you're not ready for the price tags or the trade-offs that come with it. But if you plan smart, if you care more about lifestyle than perfection, life in Magnolia Springs, Foley, Gulf Shores, or Orange Beach can be one of the best decisions you'll ever make. Okay, now moving on to Fort Morgan and the rural edges of Baldwin County, the spots where the roads get narrower, the air smells like salt and pine, and the vibe completely changes. Once you leave Gulf Shores and head west down Highway 180, it's like stepping through a time warp. The traffic lights disappear, the high rises fade behind you, and suddenly you're sharing the road with golf carts, osprey, and folks pulling their own shrimp nets out of the water. Now let's be clear, Fort Morgan isn't a city, it's unincorporated Baldwin County. There are no stoplights, no fast food chains, just long stretches of road hugging the coastline scattered with beach homes, RVs, and little locally run joints like Sassy Bass, where you'll find fresh catch and folks who still call each other neighbors even though they're a few miles apart. And here's what most people don't know until they live out here. Life in Fort Morgan runs on island time, even though it's not technically an island. Package deliveries, they might show up at the wrong house. Trash pickup, it's private, and if you miss trash pickup day, you're holding onto those fish guts till next week. You're not going to always find sidewalks, manicured medians, or HOA monitored flower beds. Out here, it's more common to see fish and boats in front yards than garden gnomes. It's DIY coastal living in the best and sometimes messiest way. It's very laid back. There's kind of an unwritten code in places like this. Help your neighbors, mind your own business, and always bring bug spray to the bonfire. The community isn't built around events or organized activities. It's built around shared stories, storm memories, and the fact that you're all just a little bit off the grid together. Now, when it comes to real estate, Fort Morgan is a mixed bag in the best way. You've got raised beach homes from the early 2000s sitting next to brand new builds with million-dollar views. There is no master plan, which means no two blocks look the same. Some homes are direct waterfront, others are tucked on the bayside with private docks, and in between you will find everything from vacation rentals to full-time locals and homes with pole barns with shrimp boats parked out front. Price-wise, you're looking at mid-$500,000 on the bayside for something modest, and the Gulf front homes easily cross into the $1.2 to $2 million range depending on size and conditions. When it comes to condos, you can find something for below $300,000 all the way upwards to $600,000. And just like everywhere else on the coast, insurance is a big factor. Some older homes have grandfathered flood policies that are worth their weight in gold. Others, you might need a separate wind, hail, and flood policy. So always factor that into your monthly budget. You're on the water here, so there's no avoiding flood insurance. Most of the area runs on septic, and not all lots are created equal. We've had clients fall in love with the property only to realize the soil test didn't pass or the septic system was placed awkwardly and couldn't support expansion. So if you're looking to buy here and you plan on building or adding on, you definitely need to double check that. A lot of homes are on well water, but public water exists in some areas, but it's not a given. And if you're the kind of person who can't function without 5 bars of cell service, or if you're a remote worker, this might not be your spot. Even the locals joke about having to drive down the street to the gas station just to upload a document on their phone. So that is something that's really important to a lot of people. Okay, now head even farther inland in the Secour, Elberta, or Josephine, and the properties get bigger, the pace gets slower, and the zoning gets creative. We've shown homes with barns that had more square footage than the actual house. We've seen full-blown businesses running out of detached garages. And we've also had folks say, I'll take this house just because the chickens were being included in the sale. You won't find the same shopping or restaurants, but if your dream is land, freedom, and a front porch where the only noise at night is crickets and frogs, this stretch of Baldwin County might be what you're looking for. It is the epitome of peace and quiet in rural coastal living. So yes, you're out in the country and you will need to be a little more self-reliant. But for the people who do buy out here, it's not about the convenience of things. It's about peace, space, and living on your own terms. So whether you're leaning towards the off-grid rhythm of Fort Morgan or you're eyeing a big builder community closer to the coast, one thing's for sure, there's no one-size-fits-all down here. And that's why we do what we do. We're helping y'all with these videos to get some insight into this area. Picking the right spot in Baldwin County isn't just about square footage or price per foot. It's about lifestyle, weather patterns, traffic, flood zones, schools, neighbors, commute times, insurance quirks. The list goes on. Okay, if you're ready to call this place home, make sure you reach out to our team. Call us, email us, text us. We're the ones that are going to answer that phone. We're here to help you find your perfect place in Lower Alabama. Now, to learn more, watch this next video.